live? Am I live? Looks like I am. I mean, I don't know exactly how to turn the camera to where it's not like looking at my ceiling, which is horrible. And I'm not really positive how that's gonna work. But yeah, I'm just very happy. I mean, Saturday, um, I'm 30 minutes late, and I was sitting here waiting for start time to happen, and I just uh, I just fell asleep. I was in such a good, really a good mood and feeling pretty good, and um, I didn't really do a whole lot of research last night. Um, I had kind of a run-in with a baller, and and I guess like I don't know. I was like talking to him, and sometimes like and I try not to fall into these like traps like nowadays, right? But like sometimes you'll run into uh, a baller, and then they'll ask you some questions about evidence or whatever, and then you counter with whatever your thing, right? And then AJM, man, thanks, man, for coming. You're the first one. I'm sitting here mumbling to myself, and it's hard because you don't know where to start when you're like like talking to yourself. You got to start because someone's gonna watch this later and turn the video on and listen. But you don't know really where to start. You start kind of mumbling, and so I got to work on that. I got to work on coming with something. Yeah, yeah. I I just kind of was just kind of mumbling, but I was getting into a story where, um, yeah, no, yeah, yeah, it's awesome. I'm glad you're here. I hope that others can make it too, because it came on 30 minutes too late, and it's because I was sitting here waiting for the time to start, and I fell asleep, and I don't sleep very often, so like when I sleep, it's like probably much needed. Not that it's an excuse to be late because I want to be on time and all that stuff, but anyway, AJ, check this out, right? I was kind of going back and forth with a baller yesterday, and the whole situation where, like, I mean, obviously, like, the earth is flat. I mean, there's no it's not even a debate anymore. I mean, they literally have nothing. Like, they literally have nothing, and then when you pop out of the brainwashing, right? I mean, it's obvious. It's like it's obvious to me now. The earth is flat and stationary, and it's like it's ridiculous that I ever believed it. But so of course, when they're new, right? These ballers, right? They think they have all this evidence, right? Like mountains and mountains of scientific evidence, and 2,000 years worth of evidence, right? And he starts talking, and I start picking them apart, and of course they always go back to this. Uh, uh, what is it? Sticks in the ground or whatever. Aristosthenes, which if you take Aristosthenes, this is interesting, and you jumble, like, do a word jumble, right, where you unjumble it. Um, Aristosthenes spells earth set stone, and so yeah, yeah, it's not crazy, man. It's like they're just straight. straight mocking us, you know. But anyway, so I'm like going at it with this baller, right? Not really like going at him. I was very nice to him, you know. I was very nice to this person, uh, and he tells me to go f myself, man. And you know, I was shocked by that because not that I'm shocked by anything that somebody would do on the internet. Obviously, you know, I get death threats, and I get people telling me, you know, go kill myself, don't, you know, don't reproduce, calling me a moron and all this other stuff, right? And so I get it, you know. Um, but it's, you know, I just haven't been talked to like that in a long time. Someone told me to go F myself when I was being very nice, you know. And so I'm not saying my feelings were hurt. I was just shocked by that just because, you know, I don't run into that kind of thing that often, you know. I don't run into those kinds of problems, you know. But no, I was listening to, and you're not going to believe this, AJ, but I was listening to Awake Souls last night, right? Which is like, it's so rare for me to ever listen to them, you know. Uh, it's just it's cringeworthy sometimes when I turn them on. But they were, of course, congratulating themselves on, you know, what kind of truthers they are. But hey, mad about his shape, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you're here, you know. And so I turned on Awake Souls, and I was listening, right? And it's just so rare. I listen to them like I listen to them like once every 4 months, maybe. You know, if it's 3 times a year, that's a lot for me, for them, you know. And so they were talking about right at the time that I kind of listened in, right? They were talking about, hey Paula, they were talking about that you will know us, uh, uh, they will know us by our willingness to accept correction. And I was trying to look forever for a Bible verse, right, that said that, you know. I know that he was kind of at that time referring to like, I want to say the Gospel of Thomas, which is something I don't read, you know. But I know that there's something in the Bible that says that, something to that effect, where you'll be able to know us by our ability to accept correction, or to be like, or a willingness to have others correct us, or something like that. And I don't know if you guys know off the top of your head what Bible verse it is. I know that um, Hannah sent me like 4 different things that it could have been, and I was gonna research it. They're mostly in Proverbs, so I do think that that's what it is, you know. But I thought that that's interesting because, you know, that's kind of like a little bit of a down payment. You know, of course, the Holy Spirit, right? You know, you get the Holy Spirit when you get saved, you know, but, and you feel that connectedness to God. But, you know, just another little bit of insurance is that you'll be able to know who we are, right? Um, because when we run into brand new information that's better, right? We let go of the old ideas, the old information, you know, and you know, not to a fault either, not to where, you know, just because something is new, we drop the old thing. No, it's like the way we search things out is, you know, just like where it says in, I think it says in Romans, right? Test all things, hold fast to what is true. And I think that's what we do, you know. I'm starting to more and more be able to tell us apart from, um, you know, other people. You know, not that I couldn't before, right? But even between You know, I don't know. I could tell the difference between one of us, you know, and I don't know how what that means or what I'm really saying. I just know that there are people that I talk to that I'm like I know I could just have an inner knowing that this person is a saved person too, and has gone through kind of a rough life, you know. Uh, I think a lot of us are, have had like, problems or, um, problems with homelessness or addictions and stuff like that. I mean, I do run into a lot of people that have been, chastened, where our lives were probably not going along with God's will, and we just kept getting, pulled out of what we were doing over and over again, not knowing that, even like life would seem unfair, but we're really not, it's really not God being unfair to us. It's really God like pulling us out of what we're doing, right? Because we have a purpose and we fit in another way in this world, like let's say it's my will to work at a toy store, and I'm working there, I'm successful, things are going great, I'm taking care of my family, right? But for some reason I get fired, and it's almost every job is like that, where it's over and over and over again. Of course, I'm being hypothetical right now. And so like I run into a lot of people where their life is like that, just like mine, where like things just kind of weirdly happen to like uh, keep us in a state of self-discovery and more learning about God, and uh, not only just learning about God and reading the Bible for myself, which I'm shocked to learn that the overwhelming majority of Christians have not read the Bible all the way through, And not that I'm saying that that's, I know it's a pretty big task. I mean, uh, but it's not as hard to do as I thought, And I thought it was going to take me a year, and it didn't. Of course, I would play like the audio Bible and then, read along, and it would go pretty fast. Like I wouldn't have read that fast on my own. But when it comes to New Testament books, I probably read each one, I don't know, some of those books 30 or more times. Not saying that that's I'm not bragging about that. That's not nothing that I would brag about. I'm just saying that like it's it's funny to me that, or strange to me that there's a lot of Christians that really uh, the only thing they know about God is what they've been told. And hey, that's well and good if you have a pastor that you could trust. You go to your pastor and they tell you, their interpretation of the word. I guess you can live your life like that. I mean, I know that when I read the Bible for myself, my impression and image of God in my head, right, was different than what anybody had ever told me about God. Like I pictured that God was like this, like angry parent figure that was like shaking his fist at you, saying, you know, don't do this, and it's because I say so, and I like, but after reading the Bible, right, for myself, I realized that even though there's rules in there that I don't fully understand, right, and are confusing to me sometimes, right, I know that all the laws and rules are in there, right, for my benefit, right, for because it, it'll be better for me and better for my life if I live my life according to those rules and laws, right? And I think that, what really helped me out, right, especially reading the Bible for myself, is, really learning about the gospel, and what that really is, and knowing that God came down and and took the punishment, for the predicament that we put ourselves in, right? And and it really freed me, right, knowing that I'm saved by faith and that my eternity is secure, right? My salvation is secure. Now I could focus on the Bible as like a way to make God happy, not out of like, you know, fear that if I make a mistake that God will put me in the lake of fire. I don't have that kind of fear, right? But I do have like a fear in the sense that I have a reverence for God. Like I mean, really, the only thing I fear is God rejecting me. And I used to read that passage in the back half of Matthew that said, where the people were running up to God, to Jesus, right, and saying, um, Lord, Lord, haven't I done all these wonderful works in your name and prophesied in your name? And Jesus says, and I'm paraphrasing, and I shouldn't do that. He says, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you. And I used to be scared that that was going to be me. Like that I would think that I'm saved, and then I wouldn't be saved. But then I realized really what that meant. Is that I'm not going to go up to God and start bragging about my works and what I've done, right? Like, I would never go to Jesus and say that, right? Because the reason I'm going to heaven is because of his finished work, because of what he did, right? And I don't expect him to share that glory with me or anybody else. And so I definitely understand why he would say, hey, I never knew you, right? Because anybody that knows Jesus would never say that. And so it made me start feeling a lot more secure and a lot better about my salvation, to the point where I could focus on, just trying to be, the best servant that I can. And so I know a lot of people, people call me Good Servant, right? Because that's my name on the channel. But originally, that was just my channel's name was Good Servant, and I always referred to myself as the servant, because really, you're not really supposed to consider yourself good anyway, right? Like our best works are filthy rags, right? That's what Paul said in Romans, right? And so but it just kind of over time that's what people call me. So I just sort of roll with it now. I'll mix it up sometimes and just put down the servant. But I don't know. It's silly to be really talking about that because really my name is Steven and everybody knows my name, right? It's just, yeah. I mean, I was shocked. There were some people where I was shocked to find out that what I've been calling them wasn't their real name. But then I had to think about that. I was like, well, wait a second. I mean, of course, that's not my real name there either. I get it. I get it with people. And so, yeah, I've been, really, I've gotten a lot of support from a lot of good people that I trust. Good people with channels. And that I've trusted and that I've sent people, to watch their videos. Out of love, because I know that these people will take care of the people I send there, my loved ones, And so I've sent people to Paula's channel, and I've sent people to Michelle's channel, and others, right? I can't think of a lot of them offhand, but there's like 10 or more channels that I send people to, and I hate it when I get on the spot and then I can't think of it. It's like speaking publicly is not as easy as people think it is. Like you'll be talking, right, knowing that I'm gonna get probably 80 to 200 views on this thing, right? So I'm thinking of these 200 people that are listening to this, right? And it's not as easy as people think, you know. And sometimes you'll know something, it'll be on the tip of your brain, and then as soon as you want to think of it, then you lose it, you know. Like, or someone will ask you a question that you've known a million times, right? And then, oh, Amanda, how you doing, sweetheart? And so, you know, like someone will ask you a question that you've known, right, your whole life pretty much, you know, and they ask you a question, and you knew the answer before they asked you, and then it can be frustrating that way. And so I used to like to do my shows with Tom or Alex, um, only because they were good at like kind of being like sturdy and kind of more rigid than me, right? And being able to kind of reel me back in, right? Whether they know it or not, right? Because I'll get lost in the weeds, like you know, speculating, right? I like to speculate and think about like, okay, well, what could happen? What do I think is happening? What's my take on the whole picture, right? Because you know, a lot of the channels that we go to, they'll focus on one. Uh, I won't say conspiracy topic, but one truth topic at a time, right? Where you know, it spreads it out what you know what people will discuss, but to really put it all together, right? To really put it all together from beginning to end, right? Like, what does it all mean? When did this all start to go downhill? Like, I'm surprised to learn about, especially about with all this one eye symbolism and you know hand signs and satanic you know hand signs and um, Freemason hand signs, right? I was shocked to learn just how deep that goes and just how many people are involved, you know. And I mean, what's crazy is like I've even seen that one eye symbolism like on like you know grocery store ads, you know, on mailers in my mailbox, you know, like wow, how far down does this go? And like you know, is everybody with a platform in the world connected, right? And if you read the Bible, right, and you believe what it says, then yes, it's everyone is connected that has a platform in this world, and you know, and they're, you know, of course, they're getting what they get out of life, right? But they're working in concert with a group that they know that if they go along with the group, it's better for them, whether they're in on everything or not, right? And hey, I know it's a paranoid way of thinking, but at some point you got to be realistic, right? God said that the whole world, right, would be against us, right? Would be hostile to us. We don't fit here. We're supposed to be separate from it, right? Yeah, we got to live in this world and do what we got to do to survive, right? And there are like things to do to have fun, right? But you know, you know, what I would say is, you know, at some point you just got to say, hey, look, it is connected, right? The world is run by Satan, right? That's real. And if somebody's in charge or real famous on this earth, then there's really no doubt, right, who they work for. I mean, that's being realistic, right? I know that it's uncomfortable for people to say that out loud, right? Or for people to come to that conclusion or whatever, but that's what this world is, right? All the way down to like even small successes in this world, right? Are positions where you have to sell out, you know? It's hurtful in a way because you grow up like, you know, watching cartoons or watching, you know, my generation was the first generation really raised by the television, right? And, you know, we kind of had computers for half my life and no computers for the other half, you know, same with cell phones, right? But really, we were fully raised by the television. And you start to build relationships with these celebrities or these characters that you see on TV, and you find out, right, that somebody that's been in your living room every day, right, because it used to be, right, back in the day, right, before all this electronic stuff, right, that the loudest voice in your house would be your mom or your dad, right, and that's what you would hear the majority of the time, right? And very easily the TV became the loudest voice in the house, and every house had one, and every house had that same voice in their house, right? And at first, they really didn't have a lot of channels, right, to choose from, so it was like the same probably 3 or 4 channels. So everybody really watched the same thing and was getting raised by pretty much the same programs. And the stuff that they're able to get us to believe with, just, hearing about things in a repetitive way, you start thinking things are real that aren't real, you know. And that's the scary part of this whole thing, right? Is that I honestly thought that I was moving and flying around in outer space, right? I thought I was on a spinning flying ball, and then I just so happened to be like, playing Jenga with my friends, right? Or building a house of cards, or, had a pendulum on my desk that didn't move for like, I want to say 7 or 8 years, right? Like things like that, right? I think about that. I'm like, why? Now that's obvious that we're not moving. It's obvious, right? Like now that I'm out of the brainwashing, it's obvious, but it wasn't obvious before. Like I don't know just exactly how brainwashing works. I just know that when I would think about things like relative motion, right, it sounded brilliant to me, right? Well, now I know, I mean, a 4-year-old can tell you that motion is not relative. You're either moving or you're not. And to say that because we're moving in relation to another object means that we could be moving is that's brainwashing, right? That's somebody trying to convince you to not pay attention to your senses. And I saw a good interview. I saw a good interview with I think it was Taboo Conspiracy and the Flat Earth Brothers, and it was a good. I thought it was a good interview, and um, the guy from Taboo Conspiracy, I don't know his name, I forget now, but he was saying that once they can get you to like deny um, your own senses, right, and your own experiences to believe something that isn't true, once they can get you to do that, right, um, that's when they have you. They could tell you anything and you believe it. And it's like, as soon as this, uh, current situation that comes with the jab, right, came out, as soon as it came out, I knew it was not real, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, obviously it's not real, right? But it was real to like the majority of the people. And there was even truthers saying like okay, there is something real out there, but blah blah blah, and really there never was anything out there that wasn't currently already out there. And so like just giving it that much attention and that much credibility really was too much, because it was I mean they were digging mass graves, man, and there was bubbles on people's heads and beep 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 and all kinds of crazy stuff, right? I mean, what happened to all that? Weren't they digging graves with with the construction equipment? I mean, didn't they have a caterpillar out there digging mass graves because so many people were going to die? 70% of the world is going to get this thing. And I mean, yeah, man, it's horrible, AJ. I mean, it's all about they I mean, that's what, and it makes this jab or prick or stab or whatever you want to call it even more nefarious because, if that's not real, then the solution isn't real either. It never was meant to be, and they probably had that thing ready way before, years in advance, right? And it's not good for us, man. You know, it's just not good for us. And yeah, it's splitting families apart, man. You're right, man. Hey, and I'll tell you what, Jesus said that's what would happen. Jesus said that he like he would cause division even between families, right? And Jesus equates himself to the truth. He says that he is the truth, right? The way, the truth, and the life, right? Like, so that means that it goes. If you say Jesus is equal to truth, then truth is equal to Jesus, right? And he says the truth will set you free, and that's absolutely true, right? And so all these truth topics will separate families, like, and loving God, loving Jesus, right? It's himself that will cause division too between people. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I mean, if it splits non-believers from here, or people that aren't interested in believing in Jesus Christ, then I guess that's a good split. I'd rather have two people that are serious and with their heads in reality than have 20 people that are not interested in being on that level of the truth. Because if you ignore God as a possibility, right, then you could never be in reality, because it's not reality. I mean, God is a variable in everything. And that's why, like, it was easy for me to accept a lot of these things in science, like, for that they weren't true. Only because I questioned evolution to begin with, right? And I think Kent Hovind did some really nice work on that. And spinning ball was harder, right? Harder to accept that wasn't true. But once I was able to do that, like, yeah, obviously science has flaws because they don't consider God as a variable at all, right? Uh, God isn't considered in anything. So when you're talking about why things, like why the sun and moon float in the sky, right? Or, why the stars are bright or whatever, right? If you're not, if your first answer and first thought isn't, oh, because that's the way God made it, or that's just, God's, that's just God's plan and design, right? If you don't talk about God as the sole reason, or the largest reason for things, even in cause and effect relationships, right? If you take God out of the picture, right, that's not reality, right? And so what we're doing when we allow for that, right? And I'm not saying that everyone's got to be so rigid, right, all the time, but because you want to be inclusive, right? And trust me, especially on matters where people are different, they don't quite fit God's mold, right? And I mean, none of us fit the mold, right? Like, none of us can call ourselves good, right? None of us can fit into that mold of being good or holy or whatever, right? It's good to be inclusive so that people can learn the truth and then make a decision about their life, right? What they choose to do, right? Based on the truth or whatever. But I mean, we'd want to be inclusive and not really that rigid, but at the same time, we got to be rigid, because as soon as that road isn't narrow anymore, then it's not a life-saving message, It's not like, I want people to come here and get a message, right, that will save them, save their lives, where they can come to God knowing that God is real, right? Because maybe I haven't proved that to anybody, right? But people can come here and hear my sincerity, hear that I'm being genuine, and what I'm saying that I know, right? And maybe hearing that, right, will spark something in someone to to believe that God is real, right? And that it is a narrow road, right? I mean, salvation, right, is there's only one way to be saved, right? That's believing that Jesus, right, that God came down, right, lived as a man, right? This is what you have to believe, right? Lived as a man, right, for 30 plus years, right, and lived a sinless life as a human being, right, and sacrificed himself as the perfect sacrifice to pay the punishment for all the sins in the world, right? He died, right? They buried him in a tomb. Then 3 days later, he came back to life. This is a God living as a human being, did all these things, right? And um, went out in front of many witnesses and basically came back to life. And then when he was done, after like 40 days, right, he ascended to heaven on his own authority, right? Now, it's easy for someone to say, oh, yeah, I believe in Jesus, right? And yes, faith alone will get you saved, right? But you have to believe on that, on what he did for us, And that means believing that a human came down as God and lived perfect in our bodies, right? With the same pains and aches and hunger and desires that we have, right? The same urges that we have. And he was perfect, and then he died. I mean, he sacrificed himself, right? Was killed, right? And then came back to life, right? Came back to life and walked around with his friends and other people. I mean, yeah, that's a fantastical story. But if you think about just all the, like, we were lied to, right? I know I just lost a lot of people, half the people that were listening, right? But like, if you think about the lies that we were taught, um, and all these things that are true now, right? Like that, that the Earth is not a spinning ball, that outer space is not real, right? All these things, right? It's not far-fetched to believe that. Not to me, right? Because there are miracles going on. This place that we live in is weird, right? Because once you get your worldview, right, to a place where you can figure out that okay, we don't live on something that was naturally created. I mean, like we live in something intentionally created by a supreme being. We live in a story. We don't live on a physical object that might be, have a certain distances and certain, I guess some things are kind of set, right? But anything is possible. Like, it's more fluid than we think. It's not a rock flying around with a certain amount of water, a certain amount of land, right? Like, yes, there is that too, right? But we also don't know how it all works, right? Yeah, we have a thought in our head. We have scripture to tell us, basically shapes and stuff, and what it looks like. But do we really know, right? Exactly what's possible in this story? We don't even know what's possible for us to do, let alone what was possible for Jesus. I'm sure that he walked around here, people had a different worldview than the one that we were taught in school, and he was walking around healing people and forgiving sin, right? And really giving people a fresh, brand new start. And the moment that I can tell myself that I believed, um, of what Jesus did, right? And I knew in my heart that I really believed it, and that I really believed that He was God, right? Um, that was the greatest day of my life, you know. Um, I my previously the greatest day of my life was when my oldest son was born, and I finally felt what having love for another human being felt like, like I at the time, of course, I thought I loved their mother, and I did love their mother, but something magic about when my son was born, and I just knew that I would die for him, and but even a greater day than that, right, was the day I found out that God was real and that I really believed it, because I really felt saved at that point. Inside I felt saved, and it was not based on anything I've done or any kind of qualifications I have, right? I'm embarrassed to think that about heaven. I don't deserve to be there. I'm embarrassed to think about that, because I don't belong there, right? I just know that I qualify, and it's because of Jesus, right? And like the minute I knew that I believed that for real, man, what a day, what a great day, and I don't think, I don't think anything tops that or matches that, Of course, like the birth of my kids was just phenomenal too. Like, um, if I had the money, I would have 12 kids, That's another joy in my life, It gives my life meaning and purpose. And, even if I'm not doing anything for them, just being available for them makes me feel good, Like just to know that they can call me right now and I'm available for them. And that's how I feel about God too, Of course, I spend more time thinking about God and, more time, listening to the Word of God or reading the Word of God or, um, watching, sermons now because there's a lot of end time stuff, that I want to be caught up on, But, just knowing that I'm here, if God wants to call on me for anything, I'm willing to do it. I'm open to that, right? And I don't know if I was always open to that before, right? Of course I said I was, right? But if God, stopped me in my tracks and said, hey, it's time for you to just walk the earth with no place to sleep, like just walk the earth and be homeless, and, get in adventures and help people or whatever, right? I would do that if I was called to do that now. Whereas before, it would be hard for me to walk away from things that I have in my life that are guarantees, right? Things in my life that I know I can take care of myself, right? And so, I'm not saying that that's any better or worse than anybody else, but, I really had to ask myself, what do I really believe, What do I really believe? And how does that help me and how does that help God, And, I just hope the people I run into benefit from me and, listening to me or whatever. I don't really think that I say anything that's that important. Hopefully they get some kind of relief, out of hearing somebody that's just in the truth, where you don't have to pretend like something's real that's not real, Hopefully that gives you some kind of benefit that you can exist here and not have to, pretend or put up an act. You can be your authentic self here, and you're accepted, right? And we're all less than perfect. We're all equally less than perfect. Yeah, now sure, there's some things on life that are just evil, right? And maybe that person does have further to come, right? Uh, it's not as easy as just I don't know what the process for that is, right? But I do know that if you're not perfect and you don't fit the mold, right, of what it takes to be like a good person, biblically speaking, right? Well, then I know what that feels like because I'm not that either. And I think it's awesome that Jesus knew that we couldn't do this for ourselves and that he needed to come down and do this for us. It's not like he asked us to pick a volunteer to live sinless and one of us had to do it. He took his own wrath upon himself, and um, with the predicament that we put ourselves in, right? That's everything I would expect God to do if he loved us. And I love that he loves us, and I love that he can't lie, because there's promises for us, and there's a place prepared for us, and um, it's going to be better, guys. It's going to be better, and it's going to be better real soon. And I just hope that, uh, I hope we all get to meet each other in the sky and get to know each other in person. And, all these hours we spent together, online researching and stuff, it'd be great to meet you guys in the sky, and to, hang out with you guys in the kingdom of heaven. And, and I always talk about, the fact that if I got to wash feet for eternity, then I'm good with that. I know Tom is the one that really brought uh, that idea to my attention. That he said he had a friend that would say that, and man, did that make sense when he said that to me, because I would wash feet for the rest of eternity. Um, I would. But anyway, so I'm rambling now. I hope you guys got something out of this talk, and I'm really grateful that you guys came to see me. And um, you know, you're right, AJ. This life is just a poof, man. If you think about it, a billion years is nothing compared to eternity, right? And so I just think that we live what 70 to 100 years, but we're going to be dead a whole lot longer than that. So it's time to get right with God if you're not already, and if you are, congratulations. Hopefully I see you in the clouds or in the kingdom of heaven soon. And I just want to let you guys know that I love you and I appreciate your support. And God bless you. Praise Jesus for his sacrifice and grace. All right, I'll see you guys later.